It's all about perspective. Proverbs 12:16. Fools have short fuses and explode all too quickly. The prudent quietly shrug off insults. In an earlier devotional, I mentioned the 80-20 ratio and Paul's clear warning that in marriage we will have trouble. If we are to stop the crazy cycle, we must not let the 20%, the irritations and annoyances we cause one another, dominate our thinking and forget about the 80%, all the good things about our marriage. If we fall into that trap, the crazy cycle will start up in no time. Point well taken, but there is another point to be made about 80-20. Not only is it good for stopping the crazy cycle, but it is good for keeping the energizing cycle going strong as we seek to motivate each other toward more love or respect. It's all about perspective. To keep the energizing cycle humming, perspective is everything. I recall hearing a story years ago that vividly illustrates this truth. The widow of a farmer recently remarried to another farmer, invited a group of farmers' wives for lunch. As the ladies were chatting, the woman's new husband came in from the barnyard and tracked mud across the kitchen floor. All the women were incensed. One of them said, "If my husband muddied the floor like that, I'd kill him." The newly married widow just smiled and said, "During my first marriage, my husband often muddied the floor, and I would have a fit. It caused some pretty tense times for us. After he was killed, his muddy boots sat empty on the porch. How I longed for him to walk through the kitchen in those muddy boots. I wept bitter tears because I had fixated on the mud on the boots instead of the man in the boots. Now that I have another husband in muddy boots, I really don't mind cleaning up the mud." In marriage, irritations happen. We all suffer muddy boots, annoyances we could explode about. The writer of Proverbs could have had the 80-20 ratio in mind when he bluntly called people with a short fuse fools and the patient ones prudent. Marriage makes all of us sensitive to what we might think are insults at the time. But are they worth ruining the moment or the day or the week? Are they worth bringing the energizing cycle to a screeching halt while the crazy cycle revs its engines? Every day, usually several times, we have a choice. Demand perfection from each other or accept reality. Perfection is impossible. The key to reducing anxiety and anger during imperfect moments is to roll with the punches. In other words, those who accept the 20% of trouble not only enjoy the 80% that is good, but also find a way to deal with the troubling stuff that just doesn't seem to go away. As I said earlier in chapter 5, the 80-20 ratio enabled Sarah and me to relax and enjoy the 80% a lot more. You may be wondering, what does Emerson mean by the 20%? Well, husbands won't want to talk and wives will want to talk too much. Husbands will appear insensitive and wives will appear overly sensitive. Wives will criticize and husbands will stonewall. Husbands will want sex on Tuesday night and wives will be too tired. The 20% is everywhere, sort of like the messes tracked in by muddy boots. So although Sarah and I still get upset on occasion, and although we still have a less than perfect moments, we think we have learned at least one thing about our marriage. Perspective is everything. Ask God for the wisdom not to draw huge conclusions from minor offenses. Love covers a multitude of sins, 1 Peter 4:8. Commit yourselves before the Lord not to focus on the unloving or disrespectful moments. Instead, thank Him for all the love and respect blessings in your marriage. Also remember to thank Him for blessings on the parenting front and in the workplace. He is God of the 80-20 ratio in all circumstances. Evaluate how well you are practicing the energizing cycle by writing down the skills or principles you are trying to use regularly as you practice couple for men or chairs for women. Are you keeping a proper perspective when muddy boots annoyances happen? Remember Proverbs 12:16, the prudent quietly shrug off insults and thus keep the energizing cycle humming.